Today we are going to learn how to flavor our kombucha. All you need is, of course, your kombucha. We have two 1-gallon jars of kombucha that we will be flavoring, which will give us about 16 bottles. First off, we need to take the scobies out, and we need to save some starter for our next batch. So we'll do that. I already washed my hands. Number one, you want clean hands. I'm going to, with clean hands, just take the other SCOBY out, transfer it over into my SCOBY hotel, and take them both. Now, this is the SCOBY from last time, along with a tiny bit of new SCOBY. We will scoop out 2 cups each, and I'm going to have this measuring cup here, so I make sure I actually get 2 cups exactly. 2 cups is going in my SCOBY hotel. Now the next batch. So that's 2 cups. We're saving this again for the next batch of kombucha, and I have extra in case something goes wrong. And if you want to give some to a friend, or you decided you wanted to make an extra batch. The way that I saved my extra amount of starter is I just skimmed a little more than 2 cups every time I made kombucha. Before long, I had like a full starter. We are done with the SCOBY hotel, so I can put that away. On to flavoring. It's Monday, so this has been about 7.5 days. I started this Sunday late at night. Now it's Monday afternoon the following week. I already made my flavorings, which this is just pureed fruit. You can use whatever kind of fruit you want. The blend I use, and I'll link my recipe in the description. I basically get about a bag of apples and I juice the apples, or you can even use apple juice. I also use 1 pineapple. I'll juice the pineapple. I have a juicer. I have done it without a juicer. It is a little more labor intensive without. You don't have to have it pureed. You could actually chop it up in little bits and throw it in there. My bottles, since the neck is so small and narrow, I don't want to have to fish out little bits of fruit. I don't do that, but you can, and that will be a lot quicker for you. You can also just buy like prepackaged smoothie mixes or frozen fruit, thaw it out, chop it up, or blend it. This is, I actually forgot the pineapple. I normally put pineapple in it. It still tastes good. So this is basically half of a large watermelon, a bag of apples. So that was probably 8 small apples. So maybe about 5 normal size apples. A bag of oranges, which is probably about 6, 7 oranges. 4 mangoes. I've done it where I've only used 2 mangoes, and that was fine as well. Blueberries or strawberries. Sometimes I've used both. I just blend the mango, the strawberries, and the blueberries. I'll blend those like if you're making a smoothie. And then if I needed any water, I'll use some of the watermelon juice to do that. There have been times where I've just taken the immersion blender and blended it that way too, when I didn't feel like busting out the whole blender. You just take whatever fruit you like. Pineapple is going to definitely give you more carbonation. The fruits that are very sweet, it's going to eat up that sugar. Blueberries, if you're just doing like blueberry flavoring on its own, I would say probably stay away from that when you're starting out, because I've had an issue with getting it to carbonate. I do use blueberries, and you can cook the blueberries. You can use frozen blueberries. I use frozen blueberries. Sometimes I have used fresh blueberries as well. So just whatever I have on hand. When I'm at the store and I see some mangoes, I'll get some mangoes, and once they're nice and ripe, puree them and then stick them in the freezer. And then I'll do the same for pineapple and apples. Maybe I'll do a few fruits at a time and then just stick them in the freezer so they're ready to go. Then when I'm ready, I get all of it together. I should say my recipe is for multiple batches, not just one. This gave me probably about 7, 8 batches, enough for 7 to 8 gallons of kombucha out of this fruit. So really, you just need enough fruit. If you're just making 1 gallon, you need enough for about 2 1/4 cups of pureed fruit. I find it way easier to make multiple servings of fruit at a time just so I don't have to deal with this every time I want to flavor. So what I do is I make a nice amount of fruit, measure out a little over 2 cups, so about 2 1/4 cups, stick it in Ziploc bags, stick them in the freezer, and then the day that I'm going to be flavoring, I just take them out in the morning. Let's be real, half the time I totally forget till I'm ready to do it, which is the afternoon. So then I have to wait till the evening. I take them out, let them thaw out, and then once they're thawed out, then I flavor it. So this is how easy it is to flavor. I take my 2 1/4 cups of pureed fruit or fruit juice, stick it in my jar, and this is, I'm just feeling for any bits of frozen chunks in here and smushing them. Now, if it was really cold as it is, and this is super cold, I probably would wait till this thaws out a little more, but it's in the 70s right now, so I'm not too worried about this being too cold for the kombucha. Now I'm just going to mix it. Okay, so both are mixed well. So now I will just pour some in here. Make sure not to spill. Get a funnel. Very useful. I will pour it in, and I'll stop right about here, this line, right at the beginning of the neck. Let's see. Okay, one's done. So I will do that to every single bottle until I'm done. And then at the end, I'll see like if I have a little extra, I'll kind of fill the tops. But you want to leave some space for the carbonation. I'll mix it every now and then just to keep it nice and mixed. And I just bought this one. I was normally using a 2 cup measuring cup, and this makes it so much easier. It's just way less time having to fill this measuring cup. So I highly suggest getting a 4 cup measuring cup and one with a spout that pours well. Okay, I have 8 bottles of kombucha. I have a little extra. For the sake of the video, I'll just bottle these up so you see, but typically I'll wait till I finish all the 16 bottles and then I'll see what I have left over. I will just fill up all of these bottles and kind of just make it as equal as possible. Since I'm doing 2 gallons, I'll wait till I'm done with all 16 bottles before doing that. But for the sake of the video, I'll do it now. I'll just find the ones that are the least filled and fill them a little more. I mean, I don't think it matters a ton, but I still like to do that. Done. Okay, so now you'll see what it looks like to cap it, to put the caps on. Okay, now I use this. This thing is great to tighten the caps. Now you can do it by hand, but you really want those caps to be tight if you're wanting carbonation. I have done this too tight where I've actually broken the cap, so you don't want to do it He-Man Incredible Hulk tight, just tight enough. But, oh, see, I just, so tight I took it off. Let's see. It's still usable. Okay. In the beginning, what you could do, like especially if you're doing it by hand and you're not using one of these, after like a day or so, just come back and check on it and see if they've loosened up, because sometimes they can loosen. I had that issue when I was doing it by hand, and I used one of those hand grabber thingies, like it's like piece of, I don't know, rubber or something. That didn't really work so well for me. This thing worked great. As long as it's tight enough. And then I just put these little dry erase stickers on, and then I will use a dry erase marker and mark the date on there so I know what date it was, so I can check back when it's like day 3. So these are done. I'll write the dates later. I will, just so these aren't hanging out on the counter taking up precious counter space, I'll stick these in my cupboard and I'll just have one out because I forget. So I'll have one out with the date, which will remind me, hey, you have kombucha, because there are times where I just completely forget about it. And it was like 5, 6 days in the summer and they were definitely done. And then they didn't taste that great because it eats up all the sugar. Now it's not sweet. I think I just, every time I took my new batch and then I'd blend it each. So I kind of mix them up to salvage it, but it's still drinkable. It just wasn't the flavor that I wanted. After about 3 days, I'll check this one and stick it in the fridge. Don't test it without putting it in the fridge because it will be extra carbonated. Let's say it's day 3. I want to see if this is ready. I'll put it in the fridge. Once it's cold, I will open it and I'll just barely crack it open and wait a second. And if I see all of the foam kind of rushing to the top, I'll close it again because it's going to go all over the place. Sometimes it doesn't happen. Sometimes it's not super carbonated. I'll taste it. That's really what I'm looking for. If it's carbonated enough for me to drink. And just because it's super bubbly and crazy doesn't mean it's going to have that same carbonation that you're looking for. The store-bought, they don't make it the same way. I think they don't make kombucha in the same way that it really should be made. I think they basically add the kombucha to the flavoring and then carbonate it with a carbonation machine. This is natural carbonation. It's not going to be the same, like, is it tiny bubbles? I don't know. It's not going to be the same as store-bought, but it still will be carbonated. Since it's not store-bought, you may get a SCOBY. You'll get all the extra fruit in there. You could leave it in there if you want. It's totally drinkable. I don't like it, so I filter it out. And I will only filter it right before I'm ready to drink it because I have tried filtering it way in advance, like the day it's ready, filter them, stick them back in the fridge where you could just grab it and go, and it loses the carbonation. So now I just filter it every time. If you don't finish your kombucha, you can stick it back in the fridge. It'll still be fine. If you've drinking one and you're like, you know what, I don't want to finish this, it's not carbonated enough, you can sit it back out on the counter to finish carbonating for like another day or so. That's fine too. So if I drink this and I felt like, okay, it's ready to go, then I'll stick everything else in the fridge. If I felt like this needed another day, then I'll let the rest sit out for a day before sticking them in the fridge. And I might, if I really wasn't sure, I'll place just one more in the fridge, test that out the next day. If it's ready, then put them all, or I'll just stick them all if I think it's around that time. If it's winter time and it's cold and it's taking forever, this is what you can do to get this process going. I will take a heating mat, and I think this probably was for plants, but anyways, I'll take this heating mat. It was like practically $10 on Amazon. And I will wrap it around. I actually have two, so I'll typically wrap all of them together. Some of these don't get it, but they're in the middle. Or I'll just wrap it like this and kind of have them slanted and plug that in. And that will help speed up the process and keep them warm enough. I only do this in the cold seasons when it's like in the 60s. If it's in the 70s, I won't use this. So that will help speed it up to where you still will have kombucha ready in about 3 days. Here's what it looks like to open a bottle of kombucha. I will open this one. I don't think these ones are extra carbonated because I pretty much stuck them in the fridge like exactly after 3 days. But I'll open it a little bit, check to see. Oh, it's filling up. So I'll get a close up of that. So this one started filling up. See when I start opening this? You can hear the carbonation building and it filling up the whole surface. So I'll show you one that's not. Here's one refrigerated that I have not opened yet. I haven't tried opening. And this one I just tried opening. See the difference? So what I'll do, either I'll take my time, crack it open, close it, crack it open, close it, and wait a few minutes. If I get impatient, I will just do this. I'll hold on to the cap and I'll just let it slowly ooze out. But hold on, because this thing might like to pop off with the pressure. So once I feel like the pressure's released a bit, I'll finally open this up. So I'll slowly lift it. Whoa. And so you have some of the pulp, might even have a SCOBY in there. So I'll rinse this off, let it flow, and then I'll just pour it on in. And then you have kombucha. So I'll rinse this out. You can see there's no SCOBY in this one, but just the extra fruit pulp. And then I'll rinse this bottle off because it got quite a bit on it. And then I will pour it back in. Okay, so I'll rinse this off and put the cap on, and we'll drink this probably today or tomorrow. But I typically don't filter it until I'm just ready to drink it right away. So that is how you make kombucha. It's very easy. That's how you flavor it. Super easy. And you can have your own kombucha. These are like $3 to $5 a bottle, and it's way cheaper to make it on your own. And you can flavor it however you want. That's what you can have fun with, figuring out different flavorings of the flavor that you like. I hope this video has been helpful for you. If so, please consider liking and subscribing. Stick around for future videos. Thanks for watching.